And here are some of the opportunities that I was discussing that the country has placed in order to continue this development of the country. There's been 5.6 billion dollars that have been put into revitalizing or expanding airports. There's another 8.2 billion that will be invested in the next 6 years. So there's a tremendous potential for that and for engineer companies. And this applies for ports, roads, railroads, and fluvial. There's a lot of investments that have been doing to turn two of our largest rivers into fluvial waterways. Next. Energy, this one, it's tremendously important for us. We have always been known to have a very green energy production, as most of our production, 90% of our production is hydro, but it's very expensive to develop new hydro plants. So some of the micro hydro plants are being put in place, solar are being promoted, wind, and this particularly is for regions of the country that we mentioned, what we call the new regions, the ones that were highlighted on orange, because our areas that don't have the infrastructure to get the most energy available from the grid, from the actual grid. So any company who has the potential to bring solar, wind, or biomass to these regions that is easy to install, that could be potentially portable, there's a lot of potential in that area. Next. Agriculture, I think being a country that is 80% undeveloped, and there's a lot of potential, and you see a lot of companies, a lot of the big companies look into it. We have Cargill and some other the larger agro-industrial companies going into Colombia and seeing a tremendous future after this peace process. I think that I can highlight from here cocoa. It has become one of the strongest plantations right now, and the new one that is like the hot plantation right now is avocados. The reason is last year in October, Colombia finally approved and started admitting has avocados into the US. So there's a huge potential, and as you guys know, the price of avocados is been going up due to the high demand and the fact that pretty much the US has been taking it from either California or Mexico. So the fact that now a new player comes into this product, I think that there's going to be huge potential for the next few years on that specific area. Next. We are very strong in metal manufacturing. People think of Colombia and they usually think, okay, of coffee, flowers, and maybe textiles. We have a very strong textile and clothing industry that has been going on for many years, but very little people know that we are very strong in producing auto parts. We are one of the largest producers of motorcycles and buses in the region, and we are extremely strong in construction materials, particularly in windows. So those are areas of great potential as well. Next. Life sciences is another big gamble that the country decided to invest many years ago, and many incentives were put in place to help companies go down to Colombia and establish research and development projects, and that's what has been going on for the past 8 years. Also recently, as of last year, Colombia has legalized the use of the use and development of derivatives of the cannabis for medicinal purposes, as long as they don't have the HTC, which is the psychoactive component incorporated. So there's a lot of companies who are looking into going into Colombia for doing some research and development, and obviously to export to countries who still accept it, like in Canada and the rest of Latin America. Next. This is another stronghold in Colombia and the service sector with BPO, Shared Services Center. In fact, we are now, after Costa Rica, the second largest market for attracting shared services centers for companies. Also, in terms of software development, there's the city of Medellin, who has become, and this is quoting this is quoting, I forgot his name in this Mark Zuckerberg, who was in Medellin in 2016 for an IT conference, and he quoted that he saw Medellin as the Silicon Valley of Latin America. A lot of companies are moving there. The city is gambling everything they have to promote software development and the development of new technologies. So Colombia has become really strong on this aspect, especially after the signing of the free trade agreement, where a lot of intellectual property is now protected under these new trade law. Next. And also, as I discussed earlier, tourism has become one of the strongest industries. And we were discussing yesterday with Kim about wellness. Colombia has become a destination for healthcare tourism, and it's not as you expected. Like a lot of people do it, they go to Brazil to get plastic surgery and all that. But Colombia has become a serious player in the healthcare industry, where people go to have major surgeries, being from brain surgeries, cancer treatments, heart implants, all kind of serious surgeries. A lot of hospitals have been accredited by U.S. insurers, and as one of the efforts and opportunities, I was discussing with Kim yesterday how United Healthcare decided to do a major investment buying a Colombian company that also has operations in Chile. It's called Banmédica, and they own over 6 major hospitals, and they have a group over 800,000 members in the healthcare network. So it's a major step that is going to change the dynamics of how healthcare is done, because healthcare prices, as we all know, in this country, they're so over the top that is becoming very viable to start looking at countries like Colombia, where you can get all the services for a quarter of the prices. Next.